Hello there, it's Jan from JB Crafts and I'm back with another tutorial for you today. So I've kept this one reasonably straightforward. It is a concept, what I would class as a concept card, but it's one of the basic folds today. So we're going to have a look at what's called a gatefold card. So this is a 6x6 design, and you can make these any size whatsoever. You can do them on a 5x7, you can do your on your American A2 sizes, you can make them bigger than this, but I've just gone for a 6x6 and I've used 2 pieces of cardstock to make my card blank, and I'm going to show you how I've done that. And then just for the closure, I've made a little belly band that just slides on and off. So that's got my detail on, which all is part of the belly band. And then I've just done some simple matting and layering. And the gatefold is because it opens up like a gate. Again, simple details inside. Done a little bit of dry embossing with a folder in the background, stamped my greeting in there. And if there isn't enough room to write a message on here, you can always mat and layer on the back of the design there. So yeah, that's what I'm going to show you how to do today. And as I say, reasonably straightforward. It's not a massively complicated one, this. And then this just slides back over the top and it just keeps it closed while it's in transit. There is a little bit of dimension to it, but not what I would call a lot of bulk. It should go safely through the mail if you were going to post it. You might want to think, I've used a little bit of foam tape on the front here. You might want to keep it totally flat if you're going to pop it in the mail, but there's a little tiny bit of dimension on mine behind the embellishments on the front. So let's have a look. Let's get into the tutorial and we'll have a look at how we've made it. So I'll just pop that on there. I always make these loose enough to slide on and off, but then like so, it's just slid right off the bottom there. So I'll just pop that back on. Now it's been a pain. Come on you go. There we go. And then, as I say, I'll pop this to one side so that we can start the tutorial. So I've actually made my own card base with this. You can buy gatefold cards already done, and because this is a 6x6, I've had to cut into a couple of pieces of cardstock here. If you've got 12x12 card, it's ideal for this because you need the pieces that are 6 inches deep. Okay, so I've got 2 pieces that measure 9 inches in total across that length by 6 inches in height there. So 2 exactly the same that I've cut so far. I am going to just doctor one of them very, very slightly, but we just need to put a couple of score lines in here to get started. So I'm going to bring in my scoreboard, and they are really, really easy score lines today. Now, a couple of you commented on one of my more recent videos about not being able to see the score lines and asked if I would pencil them in if it was necessary. So if I'm doing something that's got a few more lines on, I'm not going to do it on this one because it is just one vertical score line. It's really straightforward. But if it's a box or something that's got more lines on, I will take that on board and I will try and draw them in. But on this one, I've got that long side in my scoreboard there, and I am literally just going to pop one score line in at 6 inches. That really is it. So we're going to split it into a 6-inch width and a 3-inch, which is half of this width. So this is going to be one door. And then I'm going to do exactly the same on the second piece. So score line at 6 inches, and then we're going to flip it round, and this will be the other door, and then the 2 squares are going to sit on top of each other like so. So really simple scoring today, nothing to worry about there. I know a couple of people mentioned that their eyesight wasn't maybe the best, and I know when we're working on white cardstock it's not that easy to see, so I do apologize if that's a problem. But as I say, this is just one score line, and I've used my Centura pearl to make the card blank today so that we've got that lovely sheen, and I'm going to fold it so that this is on the outside. So first thing we need to do is fold those sections in. And just make sure, again, whenever you're folding, that everything folds in nice and straight. So you want to make sure, even though you've scored it, that these edges are flush when you fold them in. And then I'm going to secure that score line with my bone folder there and just burnish that into place. And then I'm going to do exactly the same on this one. And again, make sure that it all folds in nice and square before you burnish that fold line into place. and then we're going to flip one round so that we've got a door on each side, and they're basically going to stick together like so. Okay, now occasionally you may need to cut a little bit off. This one's actually gone together quite nicely. Sometimes you may need to cut a little tiny bit off this inside edge if they don't meet properly, and it's usually just where the score line is, but that one's actually gone together really nicely today, so I'm going to leave it as it is. So what I tend to do is pop myself across on here and one on here, and those are the two pieces that I'm actually going to stick together. So we'll do that now and get those stuck down, and I'm going to use some tape for this purely because I sometimes find that with the Centura Pearl, you know that I love my Collal all-purpose glue, but sometimes on here it tends to show through. Not literally show through, but you'll get like a, particularly on the back where you've got that pearlized finish, you sometimes get the ridge lines from the glue. So on this occasion I am just going to run some double-sided tape on the back of the one that we put the cross on here, and literally just pop this. I'll put 3 pieces on, so one on each side, and then one down the centre there will be enough to hold this together. So just bearing in mind, if you've got a coated cardstock, as I say, sometimes in the past, especially if I've got a bit heavy-handed with the glue, it does tend to show that sort of ridge through the cardstock. So doing it this way, you've got that nice flat surface to go edge to edge. Okay, so I am just going to take one of the pieces of tape off to start with, and then I can get this lined up nicely inside here. And what you want to do is make sure that everything again runs parallel and the two doors meet the best that you can get them. Okay, so if you've scored and folded everything nicely, they should just butt up together like so. And then when you've committed to that one, you can take the other 2 backies releases off there, and we've got that card base good to go with your gatefold in here. It's not perfect. I didn't get that perfectly straight there, so I am just going to trim this bit off the edge here. It's always the same when you're on camera. It never goes according to plan, so I'm just going to trim that one back. Just get rid of that little piece that's peeping out. And again, you've got your gatefold design there. A little bit of glue come out. Okay, simple as that. All right, and I'm just going to pop those fold lines in to make sure that they are nice and secure in that size. So this is our 6 by 6 inch square. I didn't quite get that straight there. I can see where it's not quite gone together, so let me just see if I can adjust that line there. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to put some decoration on the inside. I didn't do these 2 panels here. You can if you wish, but then I'm going to bring my detail onto the outside. So for the inside, I've kept it nice and simple, and I've used a couple of layers of cardstock today. I've got some nice sort of dark green cardstock, and then I've got that lovely mint green to go with it. So my main piece for the background is 5 5/8 square. Okay, and then on the top of there I've got a 5.5 inch panel of the mint green, and I've just popped that through one of my very old embossing folders. It's got the word Embossalicious on the top of there. I can't for the life of remember which company produced these, but it's just an all over print with those lovely little sort of dandelion clocks on there. I just wanted something neutral in the background just to give a little bit of texture in there. So I will now bring my wet glue in, because we've got 2 layers of that cardstock at the back now. I don't think it's going to be a problem now. So I'm going to bring in the all-purpose glue, which no matter how soon I've used it, it always seems to skin over the top of the bottle. I don't know about you guys, as I've only used it literally half an hour ago before I went and had some lunch. So yeah, we'll just put some over the back of there, and then I'm going to settle this inside, and there's a nice little border all the way around. And the beauty of using that wet glue is that you've got time to just maneuver it into place. So we'll just let that dry nice and flat. I'm going to pop the block on there just for a second while we do the inside piece. And then I've got my sentiment ready stamped here. So grateful to have a friend like you. And I've popped a little extra embellishment just to bring in, I'm going to bring in some pink to go. I love the mint green and the pinks together. And then what I've done is I've measured up the side of my panel here about just over 1 inch. And I've got some offcuts of the pattern paper that I've used here. And I'm going to bring this in and just pop a piece across here as extra detail. Not necessary, it's just I'd got scraps lying around, so I figured I may as well pop them in here and just link it all together. So I'm going to put some of my acrylic glue on there and then just line this up. I'm going to overhang the edges just a fraction so that I can trim it, and then I don't have to worry about getting it actually straight, like so. And then just turn it over and cut off any excess there. And this piece measures 4.5 in height by 3, but that was just to suit my eye. You can do that piece, you could put another square inside if you wish. I just wanted to have that rectangle in there so that I could see some of the embossed detail. This one's going to go in like so. Yeah, you could put another square in there, you could have a die cut shape if you've got nesting dies and things like that. Absolutely entirely up to you as to what you want to do with that. And then did I actually ink around there? Let's have a little look. I think I probably did. Yes, I've used a combination of a couple of inks. These are my opaque pigment inks from Spectrum Noir, and I love these for edging. All my pattern papers have been edged with these two colours. I just chose two that fit the description, and all I do, because it's a foam pad on here and not felt, I literally just take the pad straight to the paper and go all the way around the edges. It's like a giant foam applicator. So it seems silly getting the tools out just for that particular bit. So whenever it's just edging paper and things like that, I usually go straight from the ink pad onto that edging. And then we can pop this one onto the centre there. So that's going to be the inside complete. If you want to add extra embellishments in there, there's no hard and fast rule with that. You can do this to suit your own eye. And I'm just going to pop that sort of closer to the top and then a roughly eyeball about the same distance down each side there. And we'll leave that one in the middle there. So again, I'm just going to pop my block on that so that it dries nice and flat, and pop that over to one side. So I'm just going to pop the lids on here so that they don't dry while we're talking. And then I want to bring in some elements to decorate the front panels here. And these again, if I show you the original one, have got those same two matte layers on. I've got the dark green, the mint green. Then I chose that lovely polka dot paper there. And it did look a little bit plain. I'd got this far. And again, I was working very monochromatic, which is, I do enjoy working in the monochrome colours, but I felt it needed an introduction of some more colour. So this is where I decided to bring in the pink. And you can see there, but just adding that little bit of pink, it just lifts it a bit, and then we can work with the two colour tones on the card there. So all I'm going to do then is pop that one back for a second. I have got a panel of the green that is 5 3/4 by 2 3/4, and then I've only gone down by 1/8 of an inch because I didn't want to reduce my surface area too much. So I've gone down to 5 5/8 and 2 5/8 for the mint green. So there is literally just a 1/16 of an inch border showing all the way around there, which is enough. And then this piece is 5 1/2 by 2 1/2, and that is going to sit nicely in the top of there. Just nestle in there so that you've got those really narrow borders. But before we pop that together, I'm going to bring in a couple, and this again is using the scraps up, absolutely. So I've got a piece here of that patterned paper. Again, this is out my scrap box. This is from a design that I did earlier in the year, and I pop all the decent size pieces back together into a scrap box. And I've used, this keeps coming out, these are really, really old. You can tell, anybody that's followed Crafter's Companion for a while, Dye was the original branding on their metal work, and then when they launched the die cutting machine, they rebranded everything as Gemini. So that's how old these are, but I go back to these time and time again for using as edging strips. So I've used the little rickrack edge on this one, and I've just cut into it. You can see there that just fits in there nicely, and then I've put that ink around it again to link it all together. And we're going to pop this down one of the edges, and I want the sort of scallop bit, the rickrack bit, pointing to the outside edge. Okay, so all I'm going to do is pop some of my acrylic glue on the back of here, and again, just because it's got that little applicator on, it makes it easier to get glue where you want it if it's a more sort of restricted space. And then I'm going to pop it this way up, use my tweezers here, and I just want it in a fraction from the edge there, and I can use the dots on the paper there, whoops, to get it laying flat. So I've got about the same distance from the edge to the edge of the rickrack piece there, and I'm quite happy with that. My tweezers didn't want to let go then. I think they are probably a bit sticky. They might need a clean when I've finished. Okay, and then I thought again there wasn't much difference between, you know, there was sort of one pattern into the other. So this is a scrap of that mint green, and I'm just going to lay that down now at the edge of it there, just to bring it all together. So all I'm going to do with that one is add my glue directly to that mint polka dot paper. Just run a ribbon of that down the edge, and then this one can lay straight over the top, and just make sure it's pushed flush up to the edge of that pattern paper, and you can see how that's lifted it now, and it actually makes it more of a feature there. So again, if you have anything overhanging at the bottom or the top, you can just trim that with your scissors back to the edge of the original piece of paper. Get rid of those bits, and then we can now pop this one on here. So I'm going to go flicking again backwards and forwards between the two glues. I always talk about things being fit for purpose, and wherever possible this would always be my go-to. So because I'm going paper to cardstock, back comes that all-purpose glue. I love the stuff, as you may have noticed. So again, this one's just going to sit inside here and just nestle on those two layers. And I just thought the two mats underneath would be different. I normally only do one mat and then a patterned layer or an inked layer, but I've got so much cardstock that and these were both in the same pack. It's an old pack of Stampin' Up card that I've got, and I thought actually they go really nice together. So we've got the panels there for the front. So I'm going to put one of these on this side with that little rickrack piece facing out, and then I've already popped the other one together to go on this side. And again, I'm going to go with that that same glue on here. So just on the back of that one. And because this is not the shiny side inside, I'm not worried about that glue showing through this time. It was only because the reverse of the card was the shiny side, you know, the pearlescent side, which is why I didn't go with that glue on that first occasion when we stuck these two pieces together. So again, just round this one, and that's pretty much our actual card base complete. Like I said, nice and simple, just two simple folds, scores and folds today, and then some easy mats and layers. Okay, so we'll leave those two there. Again, I'll just put that block on just to encourage them to dry nice and flat. And we'll have a look at the embellishment pieces. So when I cut into my piece of A4 cardstock, I had a strip off one side and a strip off the end. So all I've done is cut down the longer strips to 1.5 inches in depth. And this is going to be the band that I now make to go around the outside. So the first thing I need to do is actually join these together in the middle. So I'm just going to overlap them slightly. And to do that, I've already popped on some red line tape. So if we take the release paper away from there, and then just making sure these are straight, I am literally going to put the two pearlescent surfaces together and then just line them up and overlap them there in the middle. And then this is going to be the back. So I'm actually going to go with that, where that is, down the center of my card. Okay, so all I'm going to do is I'll use my ruler just so that I know where that edge is there. Okay, so I've just pushed this up to where the cardstock overlaps, and then I'm going to take my card and I'm going to use this edge here as the central point so that that seam ends up in the center at the back there. Okay, and then all you want to do is wrap this around your card, but not too tight. I always leave it sort of almost like not scored in place. That's why I haven't scored it to start with. You want it to be loose enough that it will actually slide up and down over your card nice and easily. If it's too tight, it restricts what's going on. So once I've got those in place, I'm not actually going to burnish these fold lines. I'm just going to press them in with my finger and thumb there, like so. And then we can get rid of some of this excess now. We don't need all the excess. So I'm going to take my larger scissors, and I know the center point's about there. I'm going to cut just to one side, and then this one can overlap like so. All right, so again, I will put a little bit of the red line tape on here because this piece moves about when it's been taken on and off the card. I do like to use the red line. It's nice and secure. I know it's not going to pull apart when someone's using it. So a little bit of that wider one there. And again, if you don't have the wider tape, you can use the narrower one. There's no hard and fast rule with this. And then just pop these, make sure that they fit together. Whoops. In fact, I'm going to do it back round the card so that I know that it fits nicely around here. So I'm going to pop that one close, and then just make sure your edges line up nicely there. Okay, so that's now going to slide on and off nice and easily. And then it's just a case of decorating. So entirely up to you how you want to decorate. I've used a few of my circle dies here, and the first one I've cut a piece of the Centura pearl that was spare, and I've actually put it through that same embossing folder that we had in the background just to link it together. And then I've gone around the edge of it with my green ink this time, which is what I edged the polka dot paper with. And this one, I've put some tape across the center here, and I'm going to pop this over that belly band so that this bit slides on and off with the actual belly band when it comes to open the card. So I've got a side to side there, and I'm going to pop it that way so that I've got some of that detail showing, and literally just center this now in that card. Okay, so I've just had a look top and bottom, side to side. Didn't do my cut very well there. I've got a little bit of the join showing, but by the time we've decorated it, it should look okay. So as far as decorations are concerned, I used a really old die from Crafters Companion. Again, this is actually one of their creator card range, and it's called Save the Date. I wanted the little clock. So I had a quick look through I've got all my things reorganized now, and they're all in themes. So I had a look in the section that I've labeled time, and I just wanted the little timepiece from here, which is really pretty. And what I've done is I found some coordinating cardstock that just happens to have a pearlescent finish. It doesn't matter whether it did or not. I just went through the scrap box again, and I've actually created my little clock here with some of those pieces. So first of all, die cut it out of the pink, just literally from the die. And then that's where the other circle came in here. And I've cut another circle out of some of the scrap Centura pearl, and I've backed that inside piece with a piece of the Centura pearl there. So I've just stuck that on the back. And then I decided I wanted some colour on the outside as well. So I've taken a scrap of the mint card and stuck the whole thing on. And then I've literally just fussy cut around the edge with my scissors. Now this one did have a little loop on the top, and I did consider threading some twine through it, And I did start out doing that, but I was worried about the twine getting caught when this was moved up and down. So I ended up just trimming. You can see there, I've just trimmed when I went round it and cut that little loop off the top there. And this is going to be our main embellishment on the side of the card there. And then I created a sentiment. So best wishes to a dear friend, which links with what we've got inside. And that's going to come from here onto the belly band. So everything now wants to be stuck to the belly band. There doesn't want to be any connection to the card itself. So I've put a little bit of foam tape behind these. Like I said, if it's something that you're considering putting through the mail service, then you may want to put these items flat. But the same applies. Whatever you pop in here now wants to be stuck to either your circle or whatever shape you've got in the middle, or the band. It doesn't want to make contact with the actual card. So this one is just going to sit slightly off the edge of the circle there. All right, not quite inside it. And then I've also put some foam tape just on the right hand side of my sentiment, because this is going to overlap on here. So a little bit of wet glue on this side that's going to overlap with the clock. And then that one's going to run, I did consider centre, but I actually dropped it down a little bit so that it's coming closer to the bottom of the belly band there. And then the rest of it is just decoration. So I've actually got some little flowers that I've cut out again from that same patterned scrap paper, and I just happen to have an odd pink one lying around. I've got some leaves, and then that was actually the piece that came out of my little die. I use this one all the time. It was actually designed as a poinsettia, but I just love the shape of the flower. And you've got this piece here. It's actually a flower center, but I'm going to use it as an extra embellishment. So all I'm going to do then is use my acrylic glue, pop some on the back of here, and then get these stuck in place. And I just wanted a little bit of extra detail around the edge of here, and again making sure that the glue is only making contact with the elements on the belly band and that circle. So this one's going to go next to it, and then if I've done any work like that, you know that I like to balance it out. So the other patterned one I'm actually going to pop up here. So I'll turn it so that those pink petals are over the white there, like so. So we've just got that little bit of balance going on. And then, as I say, I had a pink one floating about, so I've included that one. And I'm just going to make this into a row of 3 with the pink as well. Put pearl centres in the middle of there. And then this bit, rather than throw it away because it had actually cut out, I just took this one down the edge of here so that there was a little bit of it popping out from behind the sentiment. And then I've also cut some leaves out and just inked around the edges of these. I've got the little tiny one, and then a couple of that next size. And these are just from one of my sets of flower dies. So the very baby one, I am going to pop. I think that went right up at the top. I'm just going to look at my original design there. Yeah, I'm just going to pop this one and tuck it underneath the edge of here, just so that there's a little bit of that green poking out. And then the medium size ones, again, I'm going to put glue just on that bottom edge, and I'm going to bring these out from under the bottom of this one. Now I want this one to look as if it's slightly shorter, so I am just going to trim just a little piece off the bottom and then add some glue to that one, and then just slot this one under as well so that it looks as if it's sort of slightly shorter. Okay, and I think apart from the extra gems, I think that is just about complete. So you can see we've got that feature on the front there, and then this just slides off to create your design inside. You can write your message from whoever here. You could pop a panel inside the sides of it if you wanted to write a message, or like I said, if you've got cardstock left over, you can mat and layer on the back of it. So however you want to do that. And then this one will just slide over the top to keep it secure. And then when the person opens it, you can have it displayed with the belly band with it there as well. All right, so the only thing that I added, of course, the sample that I've already made has got a few extra pearls. As if there wasn't enough in the centres of the flowers, I did actually bring in just some white ones, which I think look nice against the Centura pearl. And I've just put some little clusters to finish off that design to my liking. You know how much I love my little pearls. So they are pretty much the same, other than adding those last pearls on there just to decorate. So that's my gatefold card for today. I hope you've enjoyed that. It was a very, what I deem to be, it's what's a fancy card, but a very straightforward one. It's not too technical. There's not much to think about with the scoring. It's simple matting and layering, which is all good practice for us. And then it's a great one again for using up, you know, oddments of paper. And you can have whatever you want. You could have a nice cluster of flowers on here. If you're hand delivering and you wanted to make a gift box for it, you know, you could have decoupage on the front of it. It could be a stamped image, whatever you fancy. I just thought I'd have a play with the die cuts today because we've done a lot of stamping during this month. So I thought we'd have a play with the die cuts and take it from there. So if you enjoyed that one today, consider giving it a thumbs up for me. And I will be back very soon with another tutorial for you. So enjoy the rest of your day and I'll see you soon. Bye bye now.